welcome back to the Black Women's Wellness Podcast. I'm DeJa Love, and this is a podcast where we amplify Black women's voices as we discuss how we manage stress and maintain our well-being. We want to ensure that all of us Black women live productive, meaningful, and robust lives that are unhinged by stress. We are excited that you tuned in and you're listening to this episode. So sit back, relax, subscribe, and let's get into our episode today. Our guest this time is Karis Childs, and I'm really excited to have her here as we get into the topic of transforming Black women's health through community, family, and holistic care. Karis, it's great to see you. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. It's wonderful seeing you. I love just everything going on, the bold red lip and the bun.
Gotta do it,
I'm loving it. For those who are listening in on Spotify or Apple, you're missing out on this bold lip that Karis has. She has an elegant bun, her hair pulled back. So I'm liking the vibe here.
Appreciate it. Hey, it's Fenty too. Shout out to Fenty Beauty.
Oh, Fenty, yes. Go ahead, Rihanna.
Like Caribbean gals. Okay, shout out Bahamas.
Yeah, that's right. I forget that connection. Awesome. So I really am excited about this episode because you're a small business owner, you're an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurship for Black women is multifaceted. And so we'll get into that later. But before we get into that, I just want to hear, how are you as a small business owner and very busy professional, how do you personally maintain your own wellness amidst the demands and stress and all that comes your way?
Yeah, I think it's just all about just being intentional about your time and not having to do something all the time, right? And so, like you said, as entrepreneurs, definitely busy. But what we were talking about prior to you, the calendar is essential, okay? The calendar is so essential. And so how I keep myself just organized and just making sure I'm doing the things I need to do is really starting off the day with meditation, prayer, and then also too making sure I'm intentional about taking care of myself, eating well, exercising, even if that's just like a 5 to 10 minute walk. Hey, we need to get that in. And so it's just all about being intentional, taking the time out, making sure that you're okay first, because if you're not okay, you're not pouring into your own self. How are you going to be able to pour into others? So I take that very seriously. It's just a self-care portion, eating well, meal planning, taking the time out to make sure that I just have an opportunity just to think as well. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. And I think, what you're saying is we hear that often, especially I think about post 2020, where I feel like there was this renaissance of Black women business owners and really an emphasis on Black women's wellness and health. And so it's something that we're, these 2 years going on 3 years, we're hearing that. But I can't understate, sometimes it's hard, that pull. It's like we know the medicine to take, but we don't want to take it. So how do you be consistent in that? Like you mentioned, even if it's a 5 to 10 minute walk, but how do you ensure that you consistently prioritize yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's necessary. And also, too, it's always been a part of my schedule. Growing up, always have been in athletics, started off in dance first. I guess that's where the bun comes from. Ballet, modern dance. And then also, too, I did gymnastics competitively. And so it's always been a part of my schedule. Like I don't feel like myself if I don't have that exercise or taking some type of time for myself. But how I do it and making sure is scheduling. I literally had to put on my calendar. I put alerts like, hey, did you eat? Remember to eat, drink some water, all those things. It goes a long way. But then also too, accountability partners too. So I have a lot of great people in my circle that they literally like call or text me. They'll be like, Karis, did you eat today? Did you drink your water? Make sure you're going. Are you still up? Are you still working? You need to go to sleep because sleep is so important too. And so it takes a village to make sure that you're being successful, your business is being successful, and also to my business partners too. Like I would consider them like family too. And so they're, if I tell them, hey guys, today I just need to kind of just think we're not going to meet today. They're like, oh no, that's perfectly fine. Do what you need to do for your business. If you need help or anything like that, and don't say sorry for anything. And so it really helps me to have, great people around me to help keep me accountable and supporting me and understanding, like, kind of like, I'm a type A type of person. So they understand like, okay, Karis, you need to just chill. You need to make sure that you're eating. You need to do those things so that you're good. It's not just about giving always to others. So.
Right. I love that. I mean, as you mentioned, having the right people, that it sounds like crucial to you. But how are you able to find those right people? Because that's the hard part. Not everyone has the best of intentions.
Man, I don't know. I just say I've been super, super blessed. Just people that I've just throughout my journey through, growing up, childhood, college, my church family, and just having that discernment too. I can tell and see people that really have my best intentions at heart just through, I'm a big on energy. So those people that are consistent, that I don't have to reach out to, but they're reaching out to me. Like those type of individuals have been like a huge, 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 like a great blessing in my life. And of course, my parents too. My parents are always kind of like, okay, you have achieved so much. Don't you just want to sit down? Like, no, I have so much more to do. And so, family, friends, I don't know. It's not I guess I've just been blessed. I don't know how to explain it as far as like how I felt like they found me in a sense, and that we're gravitating towards each other's energies as far as just knowing that, that energy that we need is just such a blessing. And sometimes even to the extent that I don't even have to tell like my friends or anything what I need. They'll just reach out. And I think that's all about making sure that we're helping and supporting each other. Because I'm usually typically that person that's reaching out, seeing how someone's doing, if they're feeling okay. Actually, something just happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I literally just, made sure that someone was okay. They said, hey, keep shining bright, keep being great. And that person actually sent me a monetary gift. And so just unexpectedly. So it's just, just all about, intention, giving that energy that you want to receive. And I feel like those people like gravitate towards you. So
Energy, that's hugely important. And you mentioned discerning. And I think it is, as you're saying, it's not a science, it's an art, but it's, and I know a lot of people are leery of the whole woo woo, but I truly believe in it, energy. Like you can sense when something is good, you can sense when something is just flowing. And then you can also sense when it's just like, oh, there's something's not aligned. I think it's like those who work in healing and holding space for others, it's just that's so important, that energy piece.
So, yes.
Yeah, that we overlook sometimes. That's such a great point that you bring up. And I guess I want to backtrack a little bit. You've given us a sense of who you are, but tell us about your business and how you are transforming the health and lives of communities of Black women and families.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just a little, I guess, about my background, worked as a senior healthcare consultant for about 5.5 years. Made that decision to go out on my own. And the reason why is because I just felt like I wasn't really working in my purpose. Felt like God had so much more in store for me. And so made the decision to form Transformation Builder, which focuses on the holistic approach of individuals and families, really transforming the lives of individuals through physical, mental, nutritional, and mental health, and last but not least, financial. And so oftentimes individuals, they want to improve themselves. They want to make sure that they're becoming healthier. But sometimes that entails, more costs. And so we understand that there's inflation. We understand all those great things. And so really wanted to make sure I was covering all sides and making sure that individuals are able to access the health that they need, but most importantly, kind of creating like a one-stop shop. My team, I have a personal trainer on my team, Jaleesa, also to have a chef, Chef Ramsey, that's what we call him. Also to a mental health specialist, Emily Fowler, and then also to a nutritionist, clinical nutritionist, Mara Davis. And so just amazing. All people of color too. That wasn't my plan necessarily to have a team that were all individuals of color, but it was just something that I always say that was really created divinely. Again, people that I'd known for some years, and I just reached out to them and was like, hey, guys, I have this idea. I want to make sure I create this like one-stop shop, holistic approach to health, really making sure we're changing and transforming the lives of individuals and families and, melanated people too. And they were like, yeah, of course, absolutely. And so that's just how it it was created. But most importantly, specifically for Black women, I think this is a huge deal recently since I just graduated with my doctorate in May of 2022. We're the most educated people here as far as our demographic, but we're, the least paid, unfortunately. And so really making sure that, I'm inspiring others that, you can do anything is possible as long as you believe, but also too, making sure that the health doesn't have to decrease because of income. And also to making that difference holistically, that mind, body, and spirit. So that's it.
Wow, that's not just it. That's you said a lot. That's a lot of things. And so I guess if I'm just an everyday Black woman, and I don't use that in a derogatory sense, I view that in a sense that, I don't view myself as superior or inferior. It's just we are all one and the same. I look at it as if you're winning for all of us. If one isn't winning, then how can we support just, and essentially, as you mentioned, but if I'm an everyday Black woman and you talked about all of your robust services, a transformation builder, how do I connect with you? And what would that look like, if I'm income insecure and maybe, it's might be a challenge for me to have other additional things. Like, what does that look like? Because it sounds like you have a great pipeline of all the different specialists on your team.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, reach out to either we have a website called thetransformationbuilder.com. Also, too, we're on Instagram at transformthecrown_7. And of course, I have an email as well, Karis at thetransformationbuilder.com. And so what we do as a team is that we look at your finances too, holistically, that approach. And so you want to make sure that, that is not a barrier to you. And so it's all about being transparent, no judgment at all. So judgment-free zone. And so based upon, an assessment, whether or not you want to improve your health, let's say nutritionally or physically, mentally, we can work with you. For example, our mental health counselor, she works with children. She works with adults, family group settings as well. And she's actually nonprofit. So some of the services are actually, cost free. And so she does a lot of things through grants and support through that. So she's able to, make sure that she's getting some income on her side, but then also to donations. And so those are just some things that, just asking you shall receive. And just make sure that, you're putting yourself first in order to make sure you're making that difference to make that first step. Because you never know what may happen. But yeah, you can reach us at all those different platforms. But also, too, we will work with you if, cost may be a barrier. You maybe, need some extra additional education on certain things. We'll be able to provide that for you.
That is amazing. Y'all heard it here, transformationbuilder.com. I love that. I love how inclusive your model is, that you're not excluding certain populations, that's really rare. I mean, I know you know this, but that's rare. Not all businesses really have that breadth. Sometimes it's just a specific portion of the population. So that is so unique and so exciting to hear.
Thank you.
That is
yeah. I thought was so important because
Yeah.
access is such a huge deal. So thank
It
you.
is. It is. And you're a very positive person. I mean, just your energy, it exudes that. You're very optimistic. And I'd love to hear, how do you balance the positivity, the optimism with pragmatic realities that, as you just mentioned, access is an issue, which is emblematic of the inequitable society that we live in, that there are systemic issues that have existed before us, that may continue to exist beyond us, that we operate in? Like, how do you balance those that seem to be paradoxical?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a planner. I think it comes from my dad too. He's a military vet, all of that. And so he's always kind of taught me to think 5 to 10 years ahead.
Okay.
And so I'm always trying to like be making sure that, of course, I have the optimism, but making sure that, okay, let's do this, but just in case this happens, just having a strategic plan based upon any different scenario. I think that comes from my dad and my mom in a sense, but more so my dad. Yeah, just making sure that, you're realistic in your strategies, how you're helping individuals, knowing the landscape of the healthcare system as well. I think is so important. The socioeconomic disparities, all of those different things that occur, discrimination, but really making sure that what I saw was being a light, or making that step to being that change, at least to helping to decrease that. That's my aim. But most importantly, really making sure that we're empowering others through the platform, being that bridge, being that with my past experience, I did have the blessing of, being able to connect with so many people in the healthcare system. I think that was such a huge blessing to me, but knowing how to properly negotiate and how to properly communicate to get things done at the same time, as far as, having the optimism, having a plan, making sure that you have the things to back it up, that you have your stuff together, the information, but just having those different resources of individuals, mentors. I think that's such a huge deal as far as just navigating this world. Because again, you can't do everything by yourself. And my team as well, they've been such a huge resource. They've helped to, put me into different areas in which, I didn't necessarily have access to. But since I had access to them, they were able to put me in position. And so just really heeding on connections, heeding on relationships that I've built, and making sure that, moving forward with continually to make sure that I'm making that difference, and seeing the issue at hand in the current society, but seeing a way that, that can be improved. But again, you can't do that by yourself. So.
Right. Yeah. So do you have down days and negative days? I just, you know, certainly positive psychology is so helpful and valuable. And there's a lot of research to back that up. But when you're struggling, when you're having a down day, because we don't always live on the highs, there's the ebb and flows. So what do you do in those days, where you're ebbing and you're not flowing as much?
Yeah, that's just an opportunity. First of all, everybody needs a good cry. Okay. Let it out. Don't keep it in. Let it out. Okay. I'm telling you, anyone's listening, let it out. Okay. But yeah, good cry. That's good. But what I have to say to myself, and I think, again, this is all a part of being an athlete too, as I was growing up. Mm-hmm. All my competitions weren't great, especially, in competitive gymnastics. I remember this time distinctly where I did not perform well on any event. It was just a bad day. Okay. And, but my teammates, they were winning. And so I immediately, being a little kid, started crying. And my dad was like, nope, snap out of it. I was like, Dad, I just want to go home. I don't even want to stay for the award session. I'm not getting an award. And he was like, nope, you're part of the team. You got to stay. And so how that kind of connects with me right now is that I've always seen myself as a leader and people that are looking at me. Literally, I have team around me, I have family looking at me, right? And so, I give myself that space to, make sure that I do cry, or exercise is such a huge thing for me to let that energy out. Dance is such a huge part of my life as a way of expressing my emotions. But at the end of the day, I understand that, hey, like, okay, give yourself 5 to 10 minutes. I say the same thing to my teammates as well. Like, give yourself 5 to 10 minutes. You can cry, let it out. You can yell, scream, throw something if you want. And then we got to get back, because we can't allow those down days to, those bad moments to actually become like a bad week or a bad day. It's just a bad moment. That's kind of how I see it. And then after that, you just got to move forward and be like, okay, this is what happened. All right, on to the next thing. And so, not to come off cold, but it's just like I give myself that time to kind of relax and do the things I need to do. I need a hug. I'm a big hugger. Okay, I learned that through the pandemic. I'm a huge hugger. Like, when I couldn't hug anyone, I was like, oh my gosh, where's a person that I can hug right now? Like, can I just like give you an air hug right now? So I do need that. That's a part of one of my love languages is I definitely like a person that loves hugs and touch and stuff like that. So I understand myself or what I need. But then also to understanding that it's just that bad moment. It's not a bad day. It's not a bad week. It's not a bad month. It's just a bad moment. But take that time to be disappointed, to cry. Take that moment, feel it, feel that emotion. But most importantly, just, you gotta move on and write down things too. I'm a huge person. I journal. I write down what I'm grateful for. Affirmations. I do that on a day-to-day basis because I have to. Because if I don't, then I would probably go crazy. So, but yeah, that's another portion of what I do: affirmations, reading the word, making sure that I write down what I'm grateful for, so everything is in pen.
Oh, that's good. Wow, I love that. I think all of us can use that help and not getting tunnel vision of, catastrophizing it. And it's like, no, it's an instance, it's a period of time, and trying to move forward. I think I'd love to hear your perspective, because certainly holding space for the duality, like that exists, and hold space for that. And though that we still operate in a society that is very much about production and output and this toxic grind culture and this comparison, it's these balancing of these dynamics. And how do you, I mean, you said you're a self-professed, type A ambitious person. And so how do you not like that's a very insidious creeping into that toxic grind? Like, how do you also, you've spoken to this, but really sure that you're holding space for your own rest and wellness, though you're ambitious and you're striving, like you said, your dad instilled in you this 5 to 10 year plan.
Yeah. Again, I think it comes down to people accountability in your circle. But that comparison piece that you talked about, we do live in a social media world. You have, Insta, you have Facebook, you have Snapchat, you have TikTok, who has the best TikTok, who has the best dance, whatever. But it really boils down for me. It's just purpose. Like, everyone has their specific purpose that they have on this earth that they're supposed to fulfill. And so really, it's not really about competition. It's about unity. It's about community, and really seeing the gifts that everyone has. It may not be something that may be anything that they will be able to utilize, monetarily or whatever, in a sense, or to gain monetary gain. But it's just really just seeing people for who they are, so that doesn't happen, and really having that heart to support others. But most importantly, just understanding yourself as an individual, and then also to your weaknesses and your strengths. And so a lot of people try to, steer away from their weaknesses. They want to more so focus on their strengths. Whereas I'm a person like, okay, let me know what I need to do. Like, please tell me, like, okay. Cause I'm always like with my really close, like, circle of friends, I'm like, okay, so what is your experience of me? Cause I'm always looking to grow,
Yeah.
and looking to kind of have that just space where, um, I have the capacity to be vulnerable. I think vulnerability is such a huge, powerful tool to have, and so it kind of like cancels out that like society or what society has as far as comparison, competition, all these different things. I think we can learn so much from each other. We can gain so much from each other. And so that's kind of how I like stay in that positive sense. But then also too, that accountability. My dad started off with my dad, my mother, of course, my family, and then my friends, my support system as to like, don't surround yourself with yes people either. I think that's a huge thing too. Like you gotta have people there to be like, okay, wait, hold up, you're acting a little crazy. All right, let's just sit down, simmer down. Like, let's talk about this. And so the same thing I do for other people. And so I think that I hope that answers your question as far as making sure that we're not getting caught up in this, oh, she thinks she's all that or whatever. It's like, no, like, girl, shine bright. You're beautiful. Okay. Do that. Be you. Okay. Don't just be yourself. And I think that's such a huge tool because a lot of people are afraid of vulnerability. People are afraid of just being transparent. And then if you're having a bad day, just say you're having a bad day, or somebody hurt you, just say that. Because I think oftentimes people just hold that in and then that creates more hurt. That creates more discourse. That just creates more like negativity if you're just holding it in, just free yourself of it. And so I think it's having that circle of people or just with yourself, be truthful with yourself first. And then you have the capacity to be truthful with others. And then they feel as if they're empowered to be truthful with you. It just breaks down so many barriers. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. How do you think that our society, we can center Black women and as your business does in a transformative way? How can we get to a point where your business is not the exception, but it's just a standard process? I still feel that we are a ways from that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it starts off with communication, getting rid of societal kind of stereotypes. I think also too that brims for me. I grew up in a very culturally diverse environment. I'll put it that way. So I grew up with individuals of, very melanated and then also to my Caucasian sisters and brothers and even Asian, different diasporas. And so it's all about just really seeing people as people and not a color or necessarily just seeing people for who they are, really. And then just starting off that conversation with people like, okay, these are the issues that we're seeing and that have been, around for years now, centuries. And just having and creating that space for open dialogue without any, negativity, but just really having people that really have a heart and are working towards one purpose. I think that's a huge deal because I think a lot of people get caught up in our society in the politics of things and being politically correct or wanting to make sure that, we're saying the right things, which can get you canceled now, you can get canceled on social media and all those types of things, which is unfortunate. Whereas, I feel like that just kind of like authentic communication has kind of been stifled because of the type of cancelization of individuals. And so it's just really just having like a purposeful, I believe, action towards making sure we're having those conversations, we're being transparent, we're showing the data that's necessary to support it. Because one of the things, in Black women, we're the most educated, but no matter what socioeconomic status, we're having a lot of our sisters, dying in childbirth, which is so, so unfortunate no matter what. And so I think it's all about, and what my company focuses on is the health of all. But since I am a Black woman, I definitely want to make sure that I am improving the health of, my sisters. And so I think, breaking those barriers down, making sure you're honing on your contacts. I have so many individuals that have worked with me from different backgrounds, but just having the connection with people that are truly trying to progress the importance of, healthcare, wellness, improving it, especially, of course, for melanated individuals like ourselves. So,
yes, yeah. What brings you joy amidst all of this? We can talk about the disparities and the inequities, but what brings you joy?
Yeah, I mean, wow. But first of all, being alive and breathing, that's number one, right? But just nature. I feel so connected to nature. Just being able to go outside to breathe, right, without a mask on. Whew, that's such a blessing. See the sky, the sun. I'm a person that I'm really connected to just, hiking and it's making sure I'm present in what has been created around me. But I'm a huge person as far as like a supporter of music. I started off young, so started playing the piano at 3, violin at 10. So music has always been a huge part of my life, singing in choirs, stuff like that. Dance is such a huge thing for me, a big expression of, just emotions, connecting with my body and just seeing the things that I need to do, exercising, athleticism, but family, connecting with people, most importantly, relationships. I think the pandemic taught me that too, like, just what we took for granted, just simply being able to be like, hey, let's go to like the movies, or hey, let's go like grab a cup of coffee or something like that. And being able to actually like be in that person's like presence, I think it's such a huge deal. So yeah, all of that brings me so much joy, just being able to connect with others, the things that I mentioned, exercising, but just being able to just be here on this earth and fulfilling the things that, I feel are leading me to fulfill my purpose. I think that brings me a huge amount of joy.
Thank you for sharing that. Karis, what else would you like to share with our listeners and audience that you haven't already?
Yeah, just for the listeners out there, just continue to just be amazing. Don't second guess yourself. Know who you are, and be authentically yourself. I think that's so important. Especially in this dynamic and in the world that we live in today. So many people are afraid to be just themselves. Just be yourself. If you want to be happy, be joyful. Don't let anyone tell you you're weird. Okay. If you want to do that thing that you have thought about, like maybe creating your own business, like DeJa and ourselves have done, like just do it. Don't second guess it. Just do it. And so that's something that I always tell people is just be you, just be authentically you, and show love, be empathetic, because so many people are going through things you just don't know. They may be smiling, but they may be hurting inside. So just treat everyone with respect. Make sure that you're taking that time out to do so. And of course, for Transformation Builder, feel free to reach out to us. We are here to make sure that we're transforming your life totally through your finances, mentally, physically, nutritionally as well. We want to make sure we're listening to you to make sure that we're creating the great program for you because you're so important. And again, of course, reach out to us at thetransformationbuilder.com. Our Instagram is transformthecrown_7. And then my email is Karis at thetransformationbuilder.com.
That is wonderful. Thank you, Karis. I have enjoyed this episode. Your energy is infectious and it's transferable. I really love it. This is one that I'm going to watch and listen to myself. Also, just hearing it again, I think we can never hear enough affirmations, positive feedback, it just the repetition. So this has been great. And I will be listening as well to this episode.
Love it.
Yeah, thank you for being here. This has been great. And thank you all for listening to this episode of the Black Women's Wellness Podcast. Continue to listen to our upcoming biweekly episodes. Subscribe, follow, and like. We love engaging with our community, so connect with us on our website, thebwwa.com. That's THEBWWA.com. We want to hear from you. Tell us what resonates from this episode with Karis, and follow us on Instagram. Our handle is the BWWAINC. And until next time, stay well and remember, our wellness is infinite. Take care.